Hi, I'm George McKenna. Uh, like all authors, I'm trying to hawk my book. But the catch is, mine is a free book. It's a pay what you feel kind of deal. Um, and I'm going to read the first chapter because, I mean, I gave the title something that's admittedly like a bit of a thing that, you look and you're like, maybe, only. And so I'll read the first chapter, and then I think this might help facilitate the process of the book. So, without further ado, apologies, I'd like to present a walk through the Mormon paradox into the New Age quantum shift of the interconnected consciousness throughout the parallel universes, galaxies, and vast reaches of the cosmos. Also known as, so, you want to know about my schizophrenia, eh? Where comedy meets divinity, in keeping with synchronicity, understanding simplicity, and flowing with the Trinity, helping to make straight the ways of the Lord, so we don't lose so many when he says, all aboard, so heal. In loving memory and recognition of those who have passed, those who are here, and those who are yet to arrive. May we all be so lucky as to see and feel the frequencies of peace and harmony wash over this earth. The sun was brightly shining as the air carried the alluring smell of pine and burning wood. As I breathed it in, I could feel the humidity fill my lungs and a touch of chlorine wafting up from the pool as I approached it. I didn't want to wait for my mother, so I grabbed my styrofoam turtle and began to set up getting into my tiny little ship. I was going to be a sea captain in a moment. There was this monstrous little girl already in the pool, wearing a silly pink bathing suit. She was a little bit older than me, probably 7 or so. She was splashing around in the pool. I carefully stood at the edge of the pool and began to balance my way into my turtle ship. The water felt cool and tranquil on my hairless legs as I began my voyage to the center of the pool. I would kick my legs and splash my hands along the water's surface. The little girl began swimming and playing with me, and we started to splash water back and forth. She began to look menacing and began to laugh maniacally as she submerged everything but her head and glided stealthily toward me. She came up from beneath my turtle and turned it upside down. The chlorine stung my eyes as I opened them for the first time underwater. The rays of the sun danced along the bottom of the pool with magical radiance. I began to try and maneuver myself out from underneath my crippled ship. I tried to reach my head around and try and break to the surface and get air, but it was of no use. She was holding me down, laughing. My short little life flashed before my eyes, and I smiled. It was time to go home. The brightness of the pool bottom dulled to black. The thought made me shudder. I paused for a moment, and then realized I was reading something, literally holding a book in my hands. I was somewhere else, not without a body, but not in mind. The book continued. I began to travel down the path back to where my family's pop-up trailer was parked. I had to say goodbye before I left. But where am I now? The question lingered. At this particular moment, how can I be reading about the past while simultaneously experiencing what I'm reading, knowing I haven't written what I'm reading yet? I kept reading and experiencing all of this. It was like being in multiple places at once. I remember seeing both the ground in front of me and the sky all at the same time on this journey. The foliage of the forest floor, the pulverized cedar lining the path, the fallen trees strewn over it, the clothesline attached to my family's trailer, my dad's pickup truck, the beautiful British Columbian sky, and the beaming sun waves of love from a smiling God. I hear a soft laugh. Now you're getting it. A familiar voice stated, "Was it really him?" I was too nervous to look up from my book. What if I've died? What if I'm dead, and I've only prepared my mind to see a white Jesus? Will the real Jesus call me racist and slap me down to hell if I look surprised when I see he's black? "If you think you're already dead, then you should look up from that book and meet your maker," said the voice of Morgan Freeman. I kept reading. My mother was washing some dishes as I stood by a tree to wave my farewell. She looked up from her dishes and met my eye line with a smile, and looked down to continue scrubbing away at the purple plastic plate. But then she stopped and looked back to where I was standing, but she couldn't see me this time. A solemn look of fear and desperation entered her mind as she looked at the forest in the direction I had just traveled, and knocked over her dishwashing station as she began running towards the pool. Seeing her fear made me follow her as she ran. Running. Thinking. I put the book down and slid from sitting in a chair to kneeling on the ground while keeping my eyes closed. I could feel the peace and stillness of his presence. I calmed my mind, keeping still with centered breathing. I pondered, am I ready to open my eyes? I felt the answer to be no, so I sat back in the chair. Silence. Sitting. Thinking. Where am I? Do I live in the space between death and life? What part of me is actually me? I prayed to the white Jesus that I may understand, and a sense of uneasy comfort poured over me, the way a veterinarian pets a dog before they put him to sleep. I asked him what I must do to live happily and be free. He told me I needed to fall in love, marry, and have a family. I didn't know if I could love. Read. Reading. But what am I reading, I thought. See, you're still doing a bit of that Mormon legalese crap. I opened my tearing eyes and saw his smile before me. I didn't know what to say. He was right. I was covering my own ass a bit with the legalese. Does a soul have self-preservation? I stammered. What are you really asking me? Is it normal to want to continue to exist? Of course it is. This is the test of life. Is there anything outside your own self that's worth risking your own existence to save? I contemplated what he was saying and gave him a wink and a thumbs up. People are so terrified of hell, they're paralyzed with fear, bonded to it, and unable to do the very loving things I've put in their hearts that would save them from it. This is the beautiful thing about mysticism, the uncertainty of it all. Nobody gets to heaven that doesn't belong there. Nobody stays in hell that doesn't deserve it. Eternal life is a gift. A gift that in order to receive, you just have to realize that you already have it. You're alive on a rock, hurtling through space. A little human being living and existing in a vast reality. A reality that includes me. You've been told that you are mortal, but you Mormons were also taught that you existed before you came here. People around the world subscribe to this type of thinking because it's true. People who are too fearful to do something that I've put on their hearts, just because they feel it would be against Christianity, have a big obstacle to overcome. Do they even know who I am? Well, I do. I know you do, and yeah, this is your book and your life, but this isn't about you. Yeah, no, I know this isn't about me. This is supposed to help spur on that cosmic revolution here they call the Second Coming. They think you're going to win the revolution for them. It's remarkable how intense the forces of evil politely rape my mother and the minds of these poor slaves. Soon the bond shall be free, and the slave masters shall be bound. And you'll be shouting the secrets from the rooftops. You ready to serve your Mormon mission? He said, with a laugh and some sarcasm. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, said Jesus, humming the Mission Impossible theme,